There were some war reports that were distributed and circulated around 1925 that the warheads had determined that the blacks did not have the cranial capacity to be able to do anything like flying an airplane, which was complex, or any mathematical computations, because their brains just couldn't handle it, you know?
The pressure around the country was for equal opportunity and equal access to what was going on, and although the Army policy had its doubts, they claimed they had facts to support their situation, but we would question what facts were used. But the Army, because of the pressure and the fact that the country was getting more involved in war, decided, they said, to experiment, because they didn't believe blacks could fly successfully.
Everybody was in there was gung-ho. I mean, everybody was in that program wanted to see it succeed because, it was an experiment is what they called it, the Tuskegee Experiment, to see whether black guys could fly and fight in aircraft and that. So it was a challenge to us, you know, to go in there and to see that the program was a success.
The day was very long, from 5 in the morning to 10 at night. And that was 6 days a week. And if we had bad weather and missed a flying day, then we'd have to fly on Sunday.
We started flying in the spring of 1944 with 72 men. We graduated on the 20th of November in 1944 with 36.
The training site selected was near Tuskegee, Alabama, which meant going south, and certainly the social activity and opportunities were quite different.
You know, some of the guys were going to Montgomery or going to Atlanta, and you'd hear the horror stories about the problems they would have with the police and the sheriffs and everybody hassling them.
You know, we were coming from the party, and just outside of Birmingham or something, we stopped by a policeman, and he said, you know, stopped us, pulled us over, and for no reason at all, just because, yeah, where you niggers going? And I told him, we're not niggers, we're officers of the United States Army Air Corps. And he pulled his pistol out and put it to my temple and said, nigger, you say one more word and I'm gonna blow your goddamn brains out. You're on a little old rural road out there, and he'd have done it just like that. I mean, he was standing there trembling with a gun at my temple. Oh, maybe about 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, they'd come in and wake you up, and you'd get up and go to a briefing. While you were in your briefing, you'd hear the bombers taking off. The bombers would be flying off over, going out on the mission, and then about 9 o'clock or something like that, we'd get in the planes and rendezvous with the bombers someplace over the target. We would meet the bombers at the first points where they felt they would be under attack by enemy aircraft.
Some days, the flak would get so thick, the old saying was, so thick you could walk on it. When they put it up, they would blanket the sky, and it would extend as much as a half mile. They'd fire, and we'd change position. They'd adjust and miss us again. But it was like Russian roulette. Once in a while, they'd get lucky, and poof, look out there and the airplane is gone.
I happened to be, my flight was, element was dispatched to fight off target. We were, I remember, started out at about 26,000 feet, and the aircraft tried to make a pass through the bomb stream. We forced them to turn away, and of course the pilots, realizing they were under attack, this pair happened to take a dive for the ground. They could do different things that might try to loop or to do anything on you. They just happened to take a dive for the ground, and I was able to get on his tail. Of course, my wingman is keeping my tail clear, and the plane, say, as he tried to, he was jinking, as we say, to try to avoid me getting a bead on him, which wasn't easy, but it's happened. And say, fortunately, he made a turn that allowed me to get the right lead and good firing on the aircraft and caused him to crash.
One of my German friends, he used to say when he saw us coming, he saw those red tail, and he would call over the radio, "Here come the blackbirds, let's get the hell out of here." And when the war ended and we came back to the States, the most amazing thing, I remember this for the rest of my life. We were coming down the gangplank, getting off the boat. Now, there were more blacks on the boat coming back because they brought our group back together. And they had a sign at the bottom of the gangplank, white to one side, colored to the other side.
So I had enough hours and all to qualify for an airline pilot's job, and so I got out and hoped to get into airline flying, but nothing ever happened. I applied and applied and applied, but there was nobody that ever hired black pilots during that time. So
And I left the service in 47, went to school, and after a year, my old commander, Colonel Davis, talked me into coming back in the Air Force. And so I went back again. I helped integrate the Air Force in 1948. I was one of the first 4 guinea pigs.
The Air Force really made the decision that they needed to use people based on their training and experience and where needed, not the color of their skin. And
The 4 of us who were sent to Keesler, we had the biggest challenge. Combat veterans with no privileges off the base. General Lawrence, who was the commanding general there, called everyone on the base together, told them that we were coming. And he told them they would respect us, and anybody who did not respect us would be court-martialed. On base, we didn't have any problems. I don't think there's a more positive thing than in 1948 when Harry Truman signed Executive Order 9981 directing the military to study the integration program that was carried out.
I mean, the military has changed its style of teaching and everything, and I know that white guys go through training and they learn, about segregation and what it was like and all that sort of thing. And I think that it's part of our history. Everybody should know what it was like and understand it, and so understand that we were able to overcome a lot of these things, and we're progressing. I mean, you can look up and see a black president in the United States, so I think that shows that progress has been made, a lot of it.
I don't know if we felt that's what we were trying to do at the time, but it certainly has resulted in that we have proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that we have capabilities that so many people did not think we had. So it's opened up doors that allow talents to come forth to be beneficial to the world.